Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of USPBL 2.5. My name is Rich Borland, and in just a moment, my broadcasting partner for tonight's game, Mr. Drew Kell, will join me. We were all wondering exactly how the time limit in baseball would work, and so far, so good. Last night, our game lasted 2 hours and 30 minutes right on the button. Players worked with a little more pep in their step, marketing and promotions in between innings ran smooth, and overall, it was a fun night for everybody. The main reason for this time limit that reached the national stage with the story in the Washington Post was because we at the USPBL are a fan-first company. We've been successful by providing one of the best minor league atmospheres in the whole nation. With some of our games running longer than we'd like, our commissioner, Andy Appleby, our director of baseball operations, Mr. Justin Orenduff, and our chief operating officer, Ms. Dana Schmidt, each agreed that this would be a huge help if we could execute it in the right way. Last night was a perfect example of what we wanted in this time limit enforcement. The game made it through 9 innings, which everyone liked, and everybody went home happy after our post-game Fire and Magic show. As far as the game was concerned, the Eastside Diamond Hoppers beat the Utica Unicorns by a final of 3-2 in what turned out to be a dramatic finish. The two newcomers, Brian Davis and Brian Pereira, each singled in their first USPBL at-bats and took the early 1-0 lead. A sacrifice flyout from Gunnar Buhner drove in Kevin Watley in the 4th, and then a one-out triple from Cody Rudisilli in the 6th put them up 3-0. The Unicorns could not get to starter Pete Grasso, who pitched well, allowing no runs on 3 hits in 5 innings pitched en route to his 3rd win of the season. The Unicorns finally got on the board in the 6th after Carter Grote reached on an error and was then driven in by the previous USPBL Player of the Week, Jimmy Latona, on a sacrifice fly. They then made it interesting in the 9th when Keaton Aldridge came in to shut the door. After allowing a leadoff single from Latona and a one-out single from Austin Ledoux, led to a walk from Dan Elliott to load the bases with the tying run in scoring position. After a runner scored on a wild pitch to make it a 1-run game, Aldridge was not fazed by the pressure as he went on to strike out the final 2 batters of the game to secure the 12th victory of the season for the Hoppers. Looking on to today's action, we will see the Unicorns try and make up for yesterday as they will take on the Westside Woolly Mammoths. On the season, the series is as close as the Unicorns and Hoppers series. I mentioned yesterday how the Hoppers had 1 run more than the Corns had head-to-head and 1 more W. Well, the exact same story is being told here this evening, as the Unicorns have won 5 of the 9 games they've played between these two teams, and not only that, they have outscored the Mammoths 28-27. In that span, you really can't write this stuff up. As for the pitching matchup we will see tonight, it'll be Jake Angus of the Mammoths and Cody Brown of the Utica Unicorns. These two have had some of the most success on the year on the mound, and we should see some of their best stuff tonight as they will be in mid-season form. For the Unicorns, Cody Brown with a 3-3 record with a 1.80 ERA under 9 starts. He's got 50 innings under his belt with 42 hits allowed, 10 earned runs. But how about this, Drew? 14 walks to 58 strikeouts. Very impressive. And then on the other end for the Mammoths, a 2-2 record for Angus with a 3.41 ERA through 5 starts and 3 relief appearances. He's allowed 11 earned runs and 29 innings pitched, while he's got 19 walks to 24 strikeouts. It should be a fun matchup, but let's dive in first here with Mr. Cody Brown.
Well, yeah, Cody Brown, definitely the ace of this Unicorns team and probably the ace of the entire league, really. He's done a great job so far, and some things to look out for Mr. Cody Brown. He likes that out pitch as his slider to righties and the changeup to lefties, so watch out for that. He also has a good 2-seam fastball, 4-seam fastball, and as I just mentioned, that slider and changeup. Back to his college days, back in his senior season, he pitched a 10-3 record, 90 strikeouts, and that was at UT Tyler, and threw a no-hitter there. Also, some fun facts about Mr. Cody Brown. Tony Hawk is his favorite athlete. Pitched at Sam Houston State, and he does have that 2-seam fastball that's pretty nasty.
So that's Brown. And then on the other end for the Mammoths, let's hear a little more background on Mr. Angus.
Well, Jake Angus did pitch at Long Beach City College, but there's not a whole lot on him. He only pitched 15 2/3 innings there with 15 balls, 9 strikeouts, with a 1-2 record. So there's really limited old information about him, but he has done a nice job since entering the league. He's really proven himself to this point in this league. We'll see if he can make the progression and get out of here one day, but he's doing a nice job. He has that fastball, two-seam, and changeup and a curve, and he does like going to that curveball to get outs. So it's going to be a good matchup. Both of these guys, they like to move fast, and they're both, I would say, Cody Brown's the ace of his ball club, and Jake Angus isn't too far off as the ace of his ball club.
So Angus and Brown, the two starters for tonight's game. We do have a little bit of time here as the home team, the Westside Woolly Mammoths, are getting announced. Drew, it's that special time of the night. Go ahead, pick a stick.
Well, it's a night game, so I'm not going to go Jalen Lawson. I will go with, well, I would say Dan Ward, but I feel like that's too easy.
Steven picked that last night,
yeah,
and that was too easy of a choice.
I want to do something different.
I'll tell you what, though, Drew. Last night, Ward only went 1 for 4 with a single and a strikeout, a ground out, and a flyout. So an off night for Ward, even though he did have a single.
I think he'll bounce back, but I'm actually going to go with Austin Ledoux.
Yeah?
You were talking about him earlier, Grand Valley product. Had a great career there in 2 short years, but he's my pick to stick tonight, and I think he'll come through for me. So
that's good to hear. So yes, I had actually gotten an email from Mr. Ledoux's father earlier on in the day, just talking about how he appreciates, the YouTube channel, helping out the entire fans and parents, of course, that are paying attention here to these broadcasts throughout the season. And we're really happy to provide this information and keep you updated on your boys. But for me, I'm going to end up going with, I'm going to go with the catcher, Mr. Jake Barbie of the Westside Woolly Mammoths for them. So we will take a quick break, head down to the field for our national anthem, and when we come back, we will have first pitch here from Jimmy John's Field on our Xfinity Fireworks Friday. That's how you start your Friday night off with a bang, ladies and gentlemen. Nice job there from our nation's anthem. Quickly, we'll run through the starting lineup for these Utica Unicorns. Leading off, the third baseman, number 6, Dan Ward. Batting second, the previous USPBL Player of the Week, and a man who had a home run in the USPBL All-Star Game, the catcher tonight. He was in right field last night, Mr. Jimmy Latona. Batting third, the left fielder, number 9, Carter Grote. Batting fourth, the first baseman, Mr. Dan Williams. Batting fifth, the right fielder, like we mentioned, that pick-the-stick contestant for Mr. Cal, Austin Ledoux. Batting sixth, the shortstop, number 22, Bryn Martinez. Joey Luciana in center field, he's batting seventh. Batting eighth, the designated hitter, number 15, Chris Conley. And rounding out this Utica lineup at second base tonight, number 13, Adrian Guzman. Now, the defense lined up behind Mr. Angus, the starter on the mound, the left-hander getting loose, as you can see there. From left to right in the outfield, in left, number 15, Alec Allred. In center field tonight, I believe for the first time all season long, is Mr. Ethan Whisker. And then another first in the outfield for these Westside Woolly Mammoths tonight. Out in right, the man who's, for the most part, started in left field for every game for these Mammoths, but over in right field tonight, Mr. Thomas Fiesel. From left to right in the infield at the hot corner, number 4, Andrew Dundon. Over at shortstop, number 3, Mr. Jordan Thomas. At second base, your everyday second baseman for these Mammoths, Jalen Lawson. And then over there at first base is number 22, Brandon Cuddy. Doing the catching today as a part of the Jake Battery for these Westside Woolly Mammoths. Behind the dish, Mr. Jake Barbie. So, Drew, we got what we look to see a good pitching matchup tonight between Angus and Cody Brown. Cody Brown, of course, his best start on the season, that complete game shutout against these Mammoths. So you know that he's got the ability to succeed in a great fashion against this Westside team. The biggest challenge, of course, tonight will be the offense for the Westside Woolly Mammoths. Even though they're sitting in first place here in the USPBL with a 13-10 record, they have been yet to get to Cody Brown this year.
Yeah, and that's really no easy task. Cody Brown has done a marvelous job all season long, and let's see if the Mammoths can finally crack the code and find a way to get to Cody Brown, but it won't be easy.
Yeah, and then the offense on the other end for the Utica Unicorns, it has been paramount here this season. The combination of Dan Ward, you see Jimmy Latona, he's been batting, for the most part, the 6th spot and below throughout this season, but for the first time all year, batting up in that 2 spot. We'll see if that can turn the tide for these Corns. You got Dan Ward, Jimmy Latona, Carter Grote, back-to-back-to-back. Not an easy start here for the left-hander, Mr. Jake Angus.
And speaking of start, let's get that timer going.
Yep, your first pitch coming to you live here from Jimmy John's Field in Utica, Michigan. A fastball in the dirt, makes contact with Ward, and your first pitch at 7:05. It is 90 degrees here in Utica, Michigan, and Ward not even having to do anything here to start his night. Gets hit by the first pitch, and already, I mean, hopefully that was just a slippage of the baseball there for Angus, but not an ideal start here with Jimmy Latona and Carter Grote due up on deck after that leadoff hit by pitch.
It did look like it slipped out of the hand of Jake Angus. It really bounced at around 54 feet, and Dan Ward really couldn't get out of the way of that.
So second pitch of the night at 88 miles an hour. Misses high here to Jimmy Latona. Latona, the number 9 week USPBL Player of the Week. Latona coming to us from Rochester, New York. He's been playing very well as of late. His average still not where he wants it to be. It's at .231, but had that home run just a couple of games ago, and looks at called strike 2 here, as that one gets enough of the outside part of the plate, called by our home plate umpire tonight, Mr. Gary Wagenschutz, over at the first base umpire's spot. Of course, he's halfway to second now, is Mr. Sal Giacomontonio. Ward over there at first base does not have a ton of speed. Pitch in there on the hands of Latona. Looked to be that two-seam fastball from Angus in on the hands of Latona, and he stays alive in the count and fouls it off.
Yeah, and good action that really kind of went in on Latona's hands, and he was able to foul it off, but that's good action on that last fastball.
This breaking ball left in the zone, but out there in left field is Alec Allred. Not an everyday player here for these Mammoths, but got the start in left this evening, and not an easy play with your first opportunity. Hard line drive hit there from Latona. And they always say the toughest ones are the ones that are hit right at you, but he did his job, took his first step back, realized he had to come in a few, and then ends up making the catch. That ball stays in the air long enough to record out number 1.
Yeah, and I think that's a difficult play because the spin on that ball is, well, the problem is there really is no spin. It comes in kind of like a knuckleball, and it's really tough to predict where it's going to end up. So that may look like an easy play, but isn't really necessarily one.
Yeah, the game of baseball, of course, a game of adjustments, that being one of the tougher ones to make. But Angus back to work here against Carter Grote, started him off with a strike and then missed on the 0-1 with the fastball high and away. Carter Grote, not enough things that we can say about this young man. He and Dan Ward have played in 25 games this year, the most in the USPBL, as Grote fouls off the next pitch he sees. Grote with the most at-bats in the entire league with 105, second in the league with 15 runs scored, second in the league with 29 hits, and he's got 82, or excuse me, let's try that again, 8 doubles, which is most in the league as 82? I take a look at my notes. But Angus, not an easy guy to face off against. This ground ball hits softly into the grass. Only one play to go here for the third baseman, Andrew Dundon. He makes the smart decision as Ward gets into second base safely. You saw that grass on the infield take that baseball and kind of kept it from getting to that third baseman quicker than he would have liked. Can't get the 2, but does record the putout via the 5-3, and Grote is retired here for out number 2.
And Grote did get down the line fairly quick. He is one of the faster guys in the league, but nice play down there on the left side of the infield.
Angus standing at 6'7", 225 pounds. Not an easy guy to go up against. But first pitch swinging is Dan Williams. Not an easy play for Jalen Lawson, but he makes it look easy. Not a lot of speed going down that line for Dan Williams, but he is an aggressive hitter. He goes after a first pitch here, and the Unicorns go down. They get the leadoff man on with the hit by pitch, but can't get anything out of it. We're scoreless as we head to the home half of the first. Mammoths coming up to the plate. Cody Brown coming out to pitch. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Drew Kell here with you. Utica Unicorns getting 4 batters up to the plate in the top half of the first. Dan Ward reached on the hit by pitch, but a line out to left from Latona, a grounder to third from Grote, and a ground out to second from Dan Williams retire the Unicorns in the first. Jalen Lawson, Ethan Whisker, and Jake Barbie due up to start the night for the Westside Woolly Mammoths. Cody Brown on the mound, making his 10th start of his USPBL season. Jalen Lawson wasting no time to start this one. Takes it for a ride over to left, and it falls in front of Grote for the first base knock of the game. Leadoff man on for the Mammoths.
Yeah, it looked like it was just a little number off the end of the bat, and it found its way to left field, and I'm sure Jalen will take it. Good piece of hitting just to get it out there. He's strong enough to muscle it out to left field. Important to note right now, early innings, it may be a problem. There are some shadows that are creeping over the area between the mound and home plate, so that can make things tricky as a hitter. At least it did for me.
Yep, the shadows playing a giant role through the first couple of frames before the sun goes down. Lawson on that line drive, even though it wasn't that
looper.
Yeah, it's somewhere in between a line drive and a bloop, but it looked as if Carter Grote, with the type of speed that he has, might have been able to make a play on it, but he takes the safe route and just lets it drop to not allow Lawson to get into scoring position. But I did notice Brown, his reaction immediately once that ball landed. He wasn't too happy about it, as he was expecting his left fielder to make that play. Instead, Whisker quickly going down on 3 straight pitches. Cody Brown not messing around. He goes fastball, slider, slider, and Whisker chases after 2 of them. And he goes down for the first out for these Mammoths, but what a job there from Cody Brown to bounce back after that leadoff single.
Filthy stuff. Really a great breaking ball to finish off Ethan Whisker. But going back to that last play we were talking about, Cody Brown didn't appear to be too happy, and I think that's because when Jalen Lawson took that swing, that base hit to left, he swung very hard, and it looked as if it was going to be deep, and Carter Grote took 2 or 3 steps back, and by the time it was landing, there was really nothing he could do. So I think that's the explanation behind that play.
Totally understandable as Jake Barbie stands in now, my Pick the Stick contestant for tonight's festivities. Barbie coming to us from Liberty University here in the USPBL, a .210 batting average, 12 of 57 coming into play today. Does not have any home runs yet, but does have 10 RBIs and 10 runs scored with those 12 hits. Also has 12 walks to his credit on the season. Barbie, a guy who has a good eye up at the plate. He is doing the catching tonight. One of his main roles, if he's not catching, he is at first. And you see on that 2-0 delivery, looked as if Barbie was going to think aggressive and try and go after one, but Brown, for the 3rd straight time, misses the zone. So a good eye up here at the plate for Barbie to start his evening, even though it is not an easy thing to do against Brown combined with the shadows, as Barbie finally sees a strike as it enters the zone, count 3-1.
Yeah, I'm still unsure if Cody Brown has his great stuff right now, but I think he'll be able to bounce back and make pitches because he's a winner.
This ball popped up. It will not be an easy play if it's made by Ward, but he gets over into foul territory right in front of that third base dugout of the Westside Woolly Mammoths, and my Pick the Stick contestant Jake Barbie goes down in his first at-bat with that pop-out to Ward. Over on first is still Lawson waiting to get into scoring position. Lawson on the season, if we pull up his player card, does have a couple stolen bases, I believe, as it gets pulled up here. Lawson, with these Westside Woolly Mammoths, has 3 stolen bases in the 2018 season, had 5 last year, so you know he has the ability. Question is, when will he decide to go? As this one swung on and missed at 81 miles an hour. That slider already, Drew, has been absolutely nasty against these right-handed hitters, and that's going to be the reason that Cody Brown eventually leaves this league, which we're hoping to see in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, he's commanding that slider better than a lot of people can command their fastball. So it's a great pitch. And speaking, you're talking about Lawson a couple pitches ago down there at first. You mentioned he has 8 stolen bases in his career. He's taken a pretty aggressive primary and secondary lead. So, and on a 0-2 pitch where it might be wasted, 2 outs, he may as well take off.
So there is an 0-2 count. We'll see if they try and get Lawson into scoring position. He gets a good lead, but nothing doing at the plate for Pagano. He goes down on 3 straight pitches. Cody Brown with 2 strikeouts in that first frame. It only takes 12 pitches to get the job done, and we're through an inning of play here at Jimmy John's Field. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Drew Kell here with you. But before we get to this top of the second inning, some news getting put up on the scoreboard.
Some big news.
Big news. The 22nd player of the USPBL getting picked up by a major league affiliate. It is pitcher from the Eastside Diamond Hoppers, Mr. Logan Gillespie. He got picked up by the Milwaukee Brewers. So the 22nd player officially getting taken out of the USPBL, just signed the contract with the Brewers, I believe, today as it gets made notice here officially. So congratulations to Mr. Logan Gillespie, who pitched very well with the Eastside Diamond Hoppers all year long, was kind of their go-to middle reliever, as you know, most of the starters in this league outside of a couple of the aces aren't able to go more than 5-6 innings. Austin Ledoux, meanwhile, the leadoff batters, start this top of the second inning. Goes down in the count 0-1 and then pops a ball up into shallow left center field where Jordan Thomas stands and makes the catch as he backtracked it a little bit into that outfield grass. Regardless, 1 up and 1 down. Good start for Angus to start this second inning.
Yeah, it looks like Angus has really calmed down. Really hasn't had any issues to this point besides that first pitch of the game, which was a hit-by pitch to Dan Ward. But since then, he looks like his usual self.
10 strikes to just 3 balls. That is exactly where you want to be in terms of the pitch ratio. Bryn Martinez, the batter now, standing in, looks at ball 1 to begin this at-bat. A tough night for Martinez last night. Drew 3 strikeouts and a flyout 2 left. So you can only really go up from here if you're Martinez in this game. Looked as if Martinez went around on the 1-0 offer, and in fact he did. Wagon Schutz gets some help from Giacomo Antonio over there down the first baseline. But Martinez coming to us from Quincy University, where in 2015 he batted .329, and then 2016 he batted .336 in 56 games. This ball in the dirt at 79 miles an hour looked to be the changeup there from the lefty. Martinez with a good eye, doesn't go after it, and because of it, works the count in his favor here, 2-1. So you would imagine you'd see either the 4-seam or 2-seam fastball here. Wind blowing out towards left field near that Chevy Pavilion. This ball missing inside. Looked to be the 4-seam fastball in there at 90 miles an hour from Angus. And that one getting away from Barbie, but nobody on the base pass, no damage done.
Yeah, the one good thing about that last pitch, I'm seeing a lot of horizontal movement on that 2-seam fastball. It's looking good. It's a sharp pitch.
Yeah, he's staying inside with it as well, trying to get back into that inner part of the plate, but Martinez with a better start to tonight's game compared to yesterday. He works the 3-1 walk and gets over to first base to give the Unicorns their second base runner of the day. Joey Luciana now standing in. Luciana coming to us from Geneva College. Luciana playing in just his, let's count it, second game of his USPBL tenure, but first start. He, in last night's contest, came in to pinch hit for Adrian Guzman in that long 9th inning where Keaton Aldridge, one of the bullpen arms for the Hoppers, allowed some stirring on the base pass last night and made it interesting. But it looks as if we will be ending the top of the second inning here. Angus gets his ground ball. Luciano grounds out over to the shortstop position. Thomas to Lawson to Cuddy. And we are through an inning and a half here at Jimmy John's Field. Still scoreless. Mammoths coming up to the plate. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Drew Kell here with you. We're through an inning and a half, scoreless between the Unicorns and Mammoths, but we might not be scoreless any longer. Brandon Cuddy with a high fly ball out to right center field, and you can forget about it. Brandon Cuddy with his second home run of the season puts the Mammoths up by a run, and Cody Brown leaves that one over the plate and gives it up.
Cuddy was waiting for that pitch, and when he got it, he didn't miss it. Turned on the ball to dead right field, and that ball may be swimming in the Clinton River. That was a bomb.
Big shot out there to our right field hill, and Cuddy, my goodness, what a way to start off this home half of the second. We saw Cody Brown in his best start of the season throw a complete game against these Westside Woolly Mammoths, where in the 8th inning of that game, his counterpart Josh Mason, the starter in that game for the Mammoths, gave up a late home run to Chris Allen, and that was the only run of the game. And with the way that these two guys are throwing, that could be one of the very few runs we see here this afternoon turning into the evening. But Brown with the one miscue, Cuddy taking full advantage of it.
Yeah, and Cuddy did a great job where it was a fastball count, and he was able to drive a fastball as opposed to getting down 1-2, 0-2. And, you know, that nasty breaking ball is coming, which is a lot harder to hit.
This ball hit hard out into center field. Is the
Oh,
catch
what a
going to
play.
be made? My goodness. Joey Luciana with the 1-800-Hanson's get it done play of the game. He might have grounded out into an inning-ending double play to start this second, but out there in center field making that catch, that is a great showing of athleticism there.
Hey, ESPN, that was a great play on a dead sprint. Probably ran about 30 to 40 feet, and that was just an all-out effort play, which we'd love to see.
So we're seeing quite a bit of action to start this home half of the second inning. That one just getting past the diving Dan Ward. Looked like it might have made contact with that third base bag, but it just hopped over it and landed in foul territory. So just a long strike here to start off for Jordan Thomas.
Yeah, that's just one of those plays when you're not having a great season. Jordan Thomas is struggling at the plate. You just don't seem to get those breaks, and that was just inches from being a double.
Yeah, Thomas with 9 hits in 51 at-bats. He does have a solo shot under his belt. He comes to us from New Orleans, Louisiana, looks at strike 2, and I would imagine a slider here from Brown, and there it goes. Brown turning from a pitcher into a fielder, picks up that hard ground ball, hit back to him, and Thomas is retired for out number 2.
That was a nifty play by Cody Brown. Probably would have made it either way, but he made it flashy and showing he can field this position. Not a lot of pitchers can do these days, but
hey, us pitchers are athletes, Drew. We are. We
I
might just
know.
not look like it.
I know you are an athlete. You're an exception to the rule.
Right,
Rich.
yeah. Oh, for sure. Those pitcher fielding practices coming into full effect here. Got Blackjack the Border Collie up in the press box. Very good friend of JJ the Field General. He'll be out catching Frisbees in between innings later on in this one, picking up some baseball bats as well. We got everything in the house here tonight. Another soft ground ball hit, this time over to the second baseman, Adrian Guzman. And that, my friends, is almost a 1-2-3 inning, but the leadoff home run from Brandon Cuddy puts the Mammoths on the board, and they lead it 1-0 as we head to the third inning. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Drew Kell with you on the broadcast on this USPBL YouTube channel. A good start to this one. Westside Woolly Mammoths with that 1-0 lead if you're just joining us. Brandon Cuddy leading off the home half of the second inning with a massive home run to right field. And that is all we've written here this evening. Chris Conley, Adrian Guzman, and Dan Ward, the 8-9 one-hitters, due up to start this third inning. Jake Angus back out there for his third inning of work. And 20 pitches through the first two frames, 12 of them for strikes. He did allow the base on balls to Bryn Martinez, but then retired Joey Luciana with that 6-4-3 double play to end that top half of the second inning. Conley coming to us from Canisius College, where he was the 2017 Perfect Game Player of the Year, and for good reason. A 382 batting average in 41 games and a 582 on-base percentage. A guy who gets on often, and he's batting for the first time not in the leadoff spot for these Unicorns in his time in the 2018 season, batting in the 8th spot tonight. And fouling that one off, count even here at 2-2. Conley with the USPBL, 7 hits and 26 at-bats to start the season. No home runs just yet, but does have 3 RBIs.
Looks like he has some extra base power. He's a big fella.
He is a big fella. This one misses high, and now Conley mentioned he's got that good eye up there at the plate, has worked the count full. A good start here against Angus, who has been cruising through the first 2 frames, only allowing 2 base runners, but still a big goose egg up there in the middle column of that scoreboard. The payoff pitch, fastball misses high at 85 miles an hour, so the second walk of the night is relinquished there from Angus, and Conley getting on base once again.
Yeah, and Conley's athletic goggles proving to be a good investment. Looking at that pitch, which is hard to lay off, fastball. That was really close to the zone and very easily could have been called a strike.
So Conley over there at first base. At the plate, Adrian Guzman, second in the league with 24 games played. He's not the best hitter in the league by any stretch, still batting below 200, but his defensive prowess out there anywhere in the infield. He's played second, he's played short, he's played third. A guy who can pick the glove with the best of them. Batting here in this 9th spot today. 11 hits and 65 at-bats. Does have a home run on the year. That 0-1 pitch missing in the dirt, though. Good stop from Barbie to not allow Conley to get into scoring position.
Yeah, and talking about Guzman, when you're under 200 at the plate, you have to show that you're valuable in some other form. And by being versatile in the infield, that's a great way to get in the lineup. Maybe not every day, but if you can play second, third, short, even first, that's a ticket to the lineup that not a lot of guys can get.
And, I mean, it goes to show. He's batting below 200, but he's played in every game except one here for these Unicorns on the season. Yeah, he's right there behind Ward and Grote.
And a lot of times you see kids these days specializing in one position as Guzman strikes out here, but we see kids specializing at one position, and it just goes to show you don't have to do that. You can play all over the infield or outfield. It's really there's guys in the bigs playing all around the field, so you don't need to specialize. That's what I'm trying to get to.
So Guzman swings and misses for out number 1. Now back to the top of this Utica lineup we go. Dan Ward reached on the first pitch of the game when he was drilled in the rib cage. The first pitch to him this time, outside corner, called strike 1. And for those of you that don't know, Dan Ward, the 2018 USPBL Home Run Derby champion, also had 3 hits in the All-Star game. He had 47 home runs in the 3 rounds combined in that Home Run Derby, and in total, just 10 minutes worth of hitting, he puts up 47 home runs. It's unbelievable.
It's really, I don't know who would think that sounds easy, but however easy it does sound, it's 10 times as hard because swing after swing after swing, that gets to guys. And to still be able to put it out into the seats, that's incredible.
Meanwhile, a soft ground ball hit to the hot corner over there at Andrew Dundon. And because it was hit so softly, Ward able to reach first base, but Conley is recorded for out number 2 at the second base bag. Good job by Dundon to get the leadoff runner out. The 5-4 putout is recorded. Ward reaching base safely for the second time tonight, this time on the fielder's choice. So Ward over there on first base. Now standing in, Jimmy Latona, the Week 9 USPBL Player of the Week, as we're just about halfway through Week 10 here at Jimmy John's Field. If you didn't hear, we just got the 22nd player picked up out of the league by a Major League affiliate. Logan Gillespie of the Eastside Diamond Hoppers getting picked up by the Milwaukee Brewers organization. Excited to see where his career continues, as just another showing of what the USPBL can do. The 22nd player getting picked up in just 2.5 years.
Yeah, and I can already tell there's going to be 23 and 24, maybe even 25 at some point this season coming soon. The talent is great at this time in the league.
Count 1-1 on Latona. Angus with that breaking ball that you tell just got away from him a little bit. Did not have the good grip on it. Came in at just 69 miles an hour. Got left up out of the zone. Good eye from Latona to lay off.
Yeah, we've seen a few of those pitches that have just slipped out of the hand. There haven't been any major issues, but just a few like that here and there. And another mistake here.
So coming into this third inning, or excuse me, coming into this fourth inning, let's try that again. Coming into this third inning, Angus did have a walk against Bryn Martinez and that hit by pitch against Ward, but a walk and a hit by pitch here in this third inning. Keep in mind that with Angus the rest of the way, he's been able to hold the Corns off from some hits, but allowing base runners via the walk and the hit by pitch, don't want to let it catch up with him.
Yeah, if you want to go late in any ball game, you have to avoid the base on balls and the hit by pitches and mistakes here and there. But at the same time, he's done a nice job, hasn't allowed any hard contact to this point. So if he can settle down in the control department, he should be fine going forward.
Grote, the 1-0 effort, takes a cut at a pitch that was too high out of the zone. You can tell Grote, an aggressive hitter, trying to make something happen here with 2 outs, but that one too far out of the zone. Fouls it off and behind the home plate area into the protective netting. This one in the dirt at 79 miles an hour. Nice stop there from Barbie to not allow Ward or Latona to move up. And with 2 outs, Grote at the plate is not an easy out to get. I mentioned he's got the most at-bats in the league, the most games played, the most doubles, and the second most hits. Guy that does not get out often.
Yeah, and he's all over the baseball field, always hustling. He's one of my favorite guys to watch in this league just because of how hard he plays. It's fun to watch.
He's already been on the SportsCenter top 10 plays with a diving catch, but in last night's contest, Grote did have a double in his last at-bat, even though he was 0 for 3 coming into it. And then in that first plate appearance tonight, grounded out to Andrew Dundon, the third baseman. But another cut here, staying alive, hitting one foul. Grote is not an easy out by any stretch. He will give you the biggest fight between any of these guys out here in the USPBL. You mentioned how tenacious he is on the ball field, Drew. And this one, another ground ball over to the third base bag. It takes a wild hop over Dundon's head. Incoming to score is Mr. Ward. Over to third is Latona. And that's just an unfortunate bounce there for the Mammoths, and the Corns tie this one up.
An unfortunate bounce, a wild bounce, but another double for Carter Grote, who continues the hot streak of doubles.
Grote, the league leader now with, count 'em, 9 doubles. The second place batter to have doubles. Let's take a look at the league leaders in that category. I mentioned Grote right there with his 9th double of the season. The second player, Ethan Whisker, with 7 coming into play today. Runner on third is Latona. Runner on second is Grote. And how about the 2-out hitting? You got the leadoff walk to Conley, and then the strikeout to Guzman. Ward reaching on the fielder's choice that recorded out number 2, retiring Conley at second. But the fielder's choice to Ward, the hit by pitch to Latona, coming back to haunt Angus here. And we talked about it. You make the mistakes, it usually leads to more bad things. And Grote taking full advantage. The unlucky bounce, just a wild turn of events here for Angus out there on the mound.
Yeah, a few small mistakes compounded into a run on the scoreboard, so that just goes to show how important the little things are in a ball game.
Williams, meanwhile, Dan Williams, the first baseman, coming to us from UT Tyler, same school, of course, as the starter Cody Brown. 36 games last season. How about this, Drew? A .355 batting average with 3 home runs, 13 doubles, and a .561 slugging percentage for the big fella. He sits on that curveball, but it does not get hit very hard over there at the second base bank. For the second consecutive time, Williams is retired, but they do get a run and tie this game up at 1. We're through 2.5 innings here at Jimmy John's Field, and you're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland, Drew Kell with you. We're all knotted up at 1 through the first 2.5 frames. If you're just joining us, Brandon Cuddy with a leadoff homer in the home half of the second got the Mammoths on the board, and then leadoff walk to Chris Conley, followed by a hit by pitch to Jimmy Latona, and an RBI double from Carter Grote drove in a run. But back out on the mound for these Unicorns, Mr. Cody Brown starts off Fiesel with the ball and a strike. This one, a breaking ball on the inner part of the plate at 81 miles an hour. Fiesel gets out of the way of it and works the count 2-1. Fiesel, the last person to get an AB here in this contest, works the 2-1 count. Brown brings that fastball in at 92 miles an hour. Fiesel with the long swing can't catch up to it, evens his count up at 2-2.
And Cody Brown painted that perfectly on the outside part of the plate, and Fiesel offered at it, but really didn't have a chance. That was a great pitch. Another filthy breaking ball. Wow.
And that will be completed. Fiesel chases after one. It gets in the dirt. Jimmy Latona picks up the loose baseball and finishes the strikeout with the 2-3 putout. 1 up, 1 down to start this home half of the third. And Cody Brown, outside of that one bump in the road with Brandon Cuddy's home run, he's been stellar. He has not allowed any other runs to come in. He did allow the leadoff single to Jalen Lawson, but outside of that, his third strikeout on the evening retires Fiesel, and Lawson, that 1-for-1 night, comes in for his second plate appearance, looks at a breaking ball in the zone for called strike 1.
Yeah, Cody Brown just threw a breaking ball first pitch there, because last time Lawson was ready for a fastball and he drove it to left field. This time pulls the string to avoid a first pitch fastball base hit.
This one, a line drive back up the middle, but we talked about it time and time again. Adrian Guzman, not the best hitter in the league, but the glove always there, and he does a great job. Lines a one right to Guzman was Lawson, but a diving stop on the run. Guzman makes the catch on the liner. Lawson is retired for the first time today. 2 up and 2 down. Cody Brown tipping the cap to his second baseman.
Yeah, Guzman's been steady all season long and continuing that trend here.
Brown with 29 pitches, 21 of them for strikes, and it looks like he will be getting out of this third inning with a 1-2-3 frame. Out there in center is Joey Luciano, and he makes the catch on the one pitch. Whisker is retired, and that is not an easy guy to get out. Whisker 0 for 2 on the day with that flyout and strikeout. We head to the 4th inning here at Jimmy John's Field. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Drew Kell with you. Jake Angus back out on the mound, and for the 4th and 5th inning play-by-play duties, I'll hand it over to Mr. Drew Kell.
I appreciate it, Rich, and my pick-the-stick, Austin Ledoux, will step in for his second at-bat of the day. First pitch inside at 87 miles per hour. It's a beautiful night here in Utica. Wind is swirling a little bit in the outfield, but overall it's pretty calm as Angus and Cody Brown, with a few mistakes in there, but overall have really done a nice job in keeping this game moving along quickly. Ledoux looks at a strike on the outer part of the plate, evens the count up at 1-1.
Yeah, and Drew, we talked about how the USPBL implementing the 2.5-hour time limit. Technically, no inning will start after the 2-hour and 25-minute mark, but last night was the first time we had that rule implemented.
That one's grounded to second. Lawson gobbles it up, flips to first. It's going to be a close play, but Ledoux is out at first base. One quick out there for the Mammoths.
But yeah, back to the time implements. As you know, baseball has been, talked about as far as, from a fan perspective. You want to be able to have fans come out, have a good time, and not be completely drained when they leave the ballpark. Be able to run the bases after the game. Of course, tonight, big with the time limit with the fireworks show. After the ball game tonight with the city ordinance, we have to get them off by 10:15. But with that 2.5-hour time limit, we will not be starting any inning after that 9:30 mark. So we will keep in mind of that.
And you're starting to see it. I'm starting to see it anyway, where guys are moving faster on the field. Things are just getting done faster. Guys are stepping up to the plate a lot quicker, and I enjoy it so far as Bryn Martinez steps to the plate, swings through that second pitch fastball to make it 1-1.
And, you know, not only are the baseball guys staying in the box, working quickly on the mound, but you got your marketing and promotions in between innings working their best to get the job done quickly and get the baseball back in action.
The 1-1 painted beautifully by Jake Angus, 1-2 on Bryn Martinez. Yeah, everything just moving swiftly, and it's fun to watch. And you have a lot of baseball purists who want the game to be played the way it always has been. And we saw it yesterday. It still was played in 9 innings as Martinez fouls that one back. And so it just goes to show you it is possible to have a 9-inning game in 2 hours and 30 minutes.
And I'll be brutally honest with everybody here on the call. Baseball is my life. You know, I have played my entire life up until the end of college, and